Hey everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting intermediate math class. Today we'll be in lesson 8.3 in your books. That's on page 312. Page 312, the box and whisker plot. You think, what in the world is a box and a whisker? Well, I'm glad you asked because you came to the right place because you're going to find out today. So open to page 312 and let's look down here at the screen. I'm going to wait to the end of the class to kind of tell you what the box and whisker actually is, but in essence, it's just a different type of graph, but we'll get to it. We have a lot of vocabulary to go through before we're able to kind of really understand what the box and whisker is all about. All right, so the first word in your book there is dispersion. What is dispersion? Dispersion is the variation in the numbers or how they are spread out. So, for example, something with a lot of dispersion means that it is very spread out. You have numbers all over the place. There's another word that you could put in there, the word cluster. The word cluster means that they're tightly packed together. The dispersion is tight. You could also have data that's very spread out or data that's very uniformly distributed. In other words, it's just kind of, there's like a pattern to it. The next word there is the word range. Range is the numerical distance between the highest and lowest number in the data set. So let's say you have a data set and the highest number is 50 and the lowest number is 25. You would have a range of 25. Okay, how do you get that? It's a pretty easy formula. You just take the biggest number and subtract the smallest number. So if your data set has a 10 in it and a 2 in it, then your range would be 10 minus 2, your range would be 8. So the range is just taking the big number, subtracting the small number. The 5-number summary is the next thing that we need to talk about before we get to box and whisker. This is a way to summarize the data. So in other words, that data that's spread out, maybe again it's clustered, maybe it's very spread out, maybe it's uniformly given to you. So there's different ways that you can receive data, but what we want to do once we receive that data in the 5-number summary is we want to classify it 5 different ways. We're going to summarize it 5 different ways. So we're using 5 different what's called key data points. We have the minimum, the first quartile, the median, the third quartile, and the maximum. And you might be like, what is that? And maybe you have a little bit of an idea what some of those are, but maybe it's the first time you've ever seen this word quartile before. So let's go down, let's talk about what these are. So the minimum is the smallest number in the set. That should make sense, right? So the smallest number in the set. The next one, the maximum, is the largest number in the set. And that should probably make a little bit of sense too. The median, we've done this before, right? In last chapter. The median is the middlest number in the set. So, yeah, I know that's not a word, but it's the middlest number in the set. And then the first and the third quartile. The first quartile is the median of the first half of numbers. And the third quartile is the median of the second half of numbers. Okay, you might be like, what? Okay, here's a little history lesson for you. We get from our English language, we get a lot of our words from the Latin, right? These words come from the Latin for quarter, okay? So we get our word quarter from the Latin, okay? So this quartile word comes from quarter. So in other words, what they want here, the median is like the half, right? The median is the middle, it's like the halfway point. The first quartile is the quarter point, okay? How do you find the quarter point? Well, you take the first half and you take half of it. Okay, so let's do it with numbers. Let's take the number 16. If I take half of the number 16, what do I get? I get 8. So 8 is the first half of numbers. And if I take half of 8, I get 4. So 4 would be the quartile. Okay, it's the first quarter of numbers. You'll see in just a second how this works, but that's just kind of an idea. I need you to kind of understand what that word means. Okay, it means quarter. So the first quarter, it's the median of the first half. The third quarter, the third quartile, it's the median of the second half. Let's go do some of this and see if we can make it make sense. So here's a number set. We have 3, 8, 13, 15, 17, and 25. They are in order. Those are ranked. Okay. And so what we want to do is we want to put them up here with the thing that they go with. So what's the minimum number that you see there? The minimum number would be 3. Okay, it's the smallest number. Let's go ahead and do maximum since that's easy. We'll do the 25 is the maximum. Now let's do the median since we know how to do that. How do you do median? Well, you cross off. And we got 2 numbers in the middle. So what do you do when you get 2 numbers? You add them and you divide by 2. So 13 plus 15 gives me 28. So now if we divide 28 by 2, we're going to come out with our median is 14. So the next thing that we want to do is find our quartiles. So the first and the third. Let's go ahead and find the first quartile first. So what we want to do is we want to take the first half of numbers. These are the first half of the numbers because there's 6 numbers. So it's almost like you could put like a line right here and divide your number set in half. And so we're going to take the median, the middle of the first half of numbers. The number that's in the middle of the first half is 8. 8 would be our first quartile. Then we would take our second half of numbers. The number that's in the middle, the monkey in the middle, is 17. All right, so if you've never played monkey in the middle, it's a good time. You need to play it. So, you're like, what is monkey in the middle? Well, it's a game we used to play when I was a kid, which was many, many moons ago. So there's your 5-number summary. We have 3 for the minimum, 8 for the first quartile, median is going to be 14, the third quartile is 17, and the maximum is 25. Now we're ready, finally, 10 minutes later, we're ready to kind of put this into the box and the whisker. So let's go ahead and go down here and look at what is the box and whisker. It is a graphic representation of the 5-number summary. So we're going to take our 5-number summary and we're going to put it into this box, into this graph, if you will. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to take all of our numbers, our 5-number summary, this thing right here, and we want to put them into the box, okay? So we're going to take and we're just going to plot all of these figures right here. We don't need to write minimum, maximum. We don't need to write any of that. We just need to take the data values and plot them. How do you plot something? By just putting a dot on the graph. So we're going to put a dot at 3 for the minimum. So we'll come up here and somewhere around 3. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll put it right here. I think your book actually gives you like lots of lines to use. So they give you like 1, 2, 3, 4. I wasn't going to draw all those lines in here, okay? So again, it's not that important that you get it spot on. It needs to be pretty close. If you have all the numbers, then you should be able to get it right on the number. If you don't, get it really close and you'll be fine. All right, the next one is 8. So the first quartile is 8. So we'll come over here. So 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere right in the middle here. We'll put another dot. And then we'll go get the next number, and the next number is 14. So we'll come over here and we'll plot 14 on our graph. And then we'll come back up, and the next number is 17, and then 25. So 17 will go about here, and then 25 will go about right here. Okay? All right, now next we need to go ahead and put our box onto the graph. You might have thought that the box was that box that I was drawing. It's not the box. The box is you're going to use your number set. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to pull my box over. And what I want to do is I want to box in the quartiles. Okay? So you're going to go from first to third quartile, and you're going to make this box. So inside your box should be the median. Then it's the name of it is the box and the whisker. Whiskers are like on a cat, right? You got those whiskers that come out. So we're going to take and we're going to go from the quartile out to our maximum and from our first quartile out to our minimum. Okay, so those are going to be our whiskers. And then the last thing that I'll do here is in the middle, I'm just going to draw a line through my median point. Okay, now this is, if you look at it, the box is not centered. It's not supposed to be centered. It's supposed to be based on the data that you have. So the data kind of does something. It's actually called skew, and I'm not sure that that word is in your book. It will be in your book in the future, in different books coming up. But this is a little bit skewed, okay, and it's skewed toward, right. It's kind of pulling this way, if you will. So this one has skewness. It's off-centered just a little bit. And so you can see that how a little bit about how the data is dispersed in this graph based on this box and whisker. Another thing that you can do with this, if I had another data set, I could put two sets of data in the same box and whisker plot, and then I could compare them just by what they look like based on what their minimum, maximum, all the different 5-number summary points, what they look like on their graph. So you could see, okay, what on this day more people did this, and on this day less people did this, things like that. So you can compare data using the 5-number summary as well. Well, that's all I have for you in this lesson. Hopefully you learned something there. If you missed anything, make sure you slide it back, watch it again, and pay attention. Do some of these practice problems. And so for most students, this is kind of fun. This is different. This isn't really math. This is like math meets art class right here. So you're learning how to kind of do some things, make some things look pretty, make them look better than mine. Mine look kind of terrible, right? So make yours look nice and do a great job there with your box and whisker plots. All right? That's all I've got for you. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.